Hey there tech fans, Rick here from the OREI team with an overview of the WHD-PRO330-K 100 meter wireless AV sender and receiver kit. This product was designed to provide a very simple way of sharing any HDMI source you have up to a 1080p resolution with a secondary location in your home or office over a wireless connection up to 100 meters apart. We also include an IR blaster functionality that allows you to use a remote control at that secondary location to control the media content at the primary location. Now, as part of this overview, I'd like to start with an unboxing to show you everything included with the kit. Then I'll do some close-ups of the product to give you an idea of what the indicators and connectors do. Then I'll come back and actually do an installation here in the shop to show you just how easy it is to install this when you get it home with your own equipment. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you pop open the box, the first two things you'll notice are the transmitter and receiver modules. There are antennas in the box as well to extend that signal. Each of these come with a power supply. It's a standard 5-volt power supply. You'll plug that into the wall. This end has a micro USB connection that plugs into the back of the module. We also include two IR blaster modules, one for the transmitter, one for the receiver, and those enable you to extend that remote control functionality back to the primary location. We also include a full manual that has instructions on how to make your connections, plenty of diagrams to make it easy for you. We include warranty information, and there's contact information in there as well if you have any questions about the product. The unit comes with a full 1-year warranty, so there are no worries that you're going to have any issues with this down the road. Now stay tuned, and I'm going to take a closer look at the components, and then I'll come back and do that installation. The WHD-PRO330 kit includes 6 major components: the transmitter and its antennas, a power supply, an IR blaster module, the receiver and its antennas, a second power supply, and a second IR blaster module. The antenna is attached to the back of both modules in the same fashion. You basically finger tighten them on the stud, then flip them up for best reception. It doesn't matter which antenna goes on which connection or even which goes on the transmitter or receiver. They're completely interchangeable. The power supplies are interchangeable as well. They're a standard 5-volt power supply. This end would get plugged into the wall, standard wall outlet. This end has a micro USB connection on it, which plugs into the back of the modules, and you can use either power supply with either module. The IR blasters are different, and you'll notice one is larger and one is smaller. The larger blaster module goes with the receiver, and the smaller one goes with the transmitter, and they simply plug into the back of the module, and I'll show you how to do that when I do the demonstration in a few minutes. Now, the two modules look very similar as well, and you'll notice one is labeled transmitter and one's labeled receiver. It's important to have the transmitter at the media source end, and the receiver goes in the remote location. You're going to transmit video from this end wirelessly, again up to 330 feet, to the receiver on this end where the monitor's located. So let's take a look at the transmitter first. On the unit itself, very nice design. You've got a sort of a steel top here that has really nice design on it. You've got an LED indicating power on and transmission. On the front, you've got a sync button. If you hit that button, you can start the pairing between the units. These will come paired from the factory, but if they don't, you can hit the pairing button on both of them. That'll instigate a search for the secondary unit and force them to pair up. On the bottom of the unit, plenty of holes for ventilation to keep the electronics inside at a cool temperature. You've got 2 mounting studs. If you want to mount these on the wall, you can do that. On the side, you've got additional venting on both sides. And on the back, you've got all your connections. I had already mentioned the 2 antenna connections. You can use either antenna on either port. You've got an HDMI input. That would come from your source. So if you've got a DVD player, you'll run a short HDMI cable from that to the HDMI in. The HDMI out allows you to loop back the content if you have a monitor at that primary location. So you'll basically come from, say, a DVD player to the HDMI in. You'll run another HDMI cable from here to your monitor. You've got an IR out, and that plugs into the IR blaster module I mentioned a second ago. And you've also got your power supply connection, again, a micro USB. On the back of the receiver unit, you've got the same type of connections. You've got one single HDMI out, and that'll go to your monitor at the remote location. You've got a connection here for your IR blaster, and again, another power supply connection. The case is basically the same, plenty of ventilation on the bottom and both sides, and you've got 2 slots for mounting if you want to on the wall at that remote location. So together, both of these comprise the system with all the other components that I've described. Now stay tuned, and I'll show you how to install this unit in your own home. The WHD-PRO330-K is a very versatile system that supports a wide range of HDMI sources, including game consoles, PCs, cable boxes, streaming devices like Roku, as well as home surveillance systems. Now I'll show you the connections you'll need to make between the WHD-PRO330-K and your equipment at home. But before I get started on the demonstration, let me explain a little bit about the setup I have on the table in front of me. Here I have the transmitter module, and this is the receiver module. On this side of the table, I'm simulating your primary location where you normally watch your content today. It could be your media center in your living room. On this side of the table, I'm simulating the secondary location. Maybe it's an upstairs bedroom. It's where you want to enjoy that content. So we're going to broadcast the content that you're watching here to the secondary location. Now I'll start by connecting up the transmitter. Currently I have a media player that's connected through a single HDMI cable to the back of the monitor. I'll disconnect that, and this is my media player. So I'm going to connect that to the HDMI input on the back of the module. Now this has a loopback function in it that allows me to watch that content still at this primary location while I'm simultaneously broadcasting it to the second location. And to enable that, you need a second cable. You'll connect up a short HDMI from the back of the monitor to the HDMI output on the back of this module. And again, that enables the loopback function. Once I've done that, I can power up the module. I've got a micro USB connection here that's plugged into a power supply, and I'll plug that in the back. Now, the minute I power this up, it's going to start a self-test where it's going to check all the internal components, and you'll see the monitor come alive in a second. When it's going through that self-test, it's also verifying that it's got a good connection to the monitor. It's checking the resolution of the monitor to make whatever adjustments are needed inside the module to give you the best possible picture. All right, so let's connect up the receiver now. This is again in the upstairs location. I've got a short HDMI cable coming off the back of the monitor. It connects to the only HDMI connection on the back, which is HDMI out. And I'll connect up the power supply, again, a micro USB connection to the back of the module, and I've plugged that into the floor. Now, both of these units are currently going through a power on self-test, and you'll see the LEDs in the front start red, which means they're running their self-test, and eventually turn blue and flash. And when they're flashing blue, it means that they're looking for each other in a pairing situation. Now, normally they're paired from the factory, but if you find that you're not getting the pairing going, you can hit the pairing button and that'll instigate that pairing activity. But this one's ready to go and it's actually looking for the partner, but I plugged this in a little bit later, so it's taken a couple extra seconds to go through that power on self-test. It's now in pairing mode looking for the primary location, and it should come up in a couple of seconds. When that's finished, you'll actually see the content here broadcast to that second monitor. Now let me actually start the program a little bit. Just take a second for it to sync up. Okay, you can see it's on the second location. Let me hit play. And you can see that in a second it's going to move, but you'll see the live feed from here to the secondary location. So it's doing a great job of broadcasting that in full 1080p HD. Now, one other thing we include with the kit are these IR blaster adapters, and I've explained those in a different clip on the channel, so if you're going to check the page, you'll see it somewhere on our page. But in essence, what you've got is the ability to send the infrared signals from that upstairs remote location through this wireless connection down to your primary location to control the device. This plugs into the back of the unit and adheres to the front of whatever media player you're using. This one plugs into the back of the receiver unit, and you're going to point your remote at that, and it's going to take those signals and transmit those along with the audio and video down to the primary location. So you're allowed to use a remote control in that remote location to actually control the media you're watching down in the primary location. So we try to build everything we can into these kits to make it very easy to use, but that's just how simple it is to get this working in your home. I hope you found this overview of the WHD-PRO330-K helpful. This 100-meter wireless AV sender receiver kit is the perfect way of extending your media content to a remote location in your home over a wireless connection while still allowing you to maintain control of that media device through our IR blaster system. If you have any questions about anything I've covered today, or we've missed anything, please check the FAQ on our website or send us a note through the Contact Us link, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Until next time, thanks for watching.